Hello everyone, my name is Thanh. I am a researcher and teacher for children with visual impairment in Vietnam. I work on ELP at Perkin in 2020.
Hello, I'm Louise France. I was a TBI in Scotland, and then 10 years ago I came to Vietnam, and I've been volunteering this field since then.
Yeah, Louis and I, we are the co-founder of Sharing Stories, Sharing Life, and as Sharing Stories, Sharing Life, we set up a clever hand library, make the tactile book and read the tactile book with children with visual impairment. And now we will share with you why we choose make and read the tactile book with the children in Vietnam. And you know that for the children with visual impairment in Vietnam, there are no book, no tactile book, and no braille book for the children until they go to school. And when they go to school, they learn about braille. So it seems like that just already learn how to write braille using by slate. Like that, and one special equipment the Vietnamese pupil made it with the 6 dot like that, and the children feel the 6 dot. And one more thing, the teacher and the parent in Vietnam, we tend to use the plastic toy more than the real object, so the children is very boring to feel and toss.
So I noticed this lack when I was volunteering at an early intervention class when I first came. So I thought I would make some tactile books out of fabric for the children, because I think the fabric books are so special when you hold them in, when the children hold them in their hands, and the parents and the siblings and the classmates realize how special and wonderful they are, and they're also so sturdy and durable compared to cardboard books. So when I started volunteering at the research centre that Time works at in 2016, the researchers soon decided to make this a research project. After a period of research into the principles of tactile book design and raising money, we started making the books in 2018. Firstly, we just had volunteers who cared about children with visual impairment, but to be honest, they didn't know much about sewing, and it wasn't until we had skilled volunteers who have sewing as a hobby, and one used to be a tailor, that we found together the best methods for making the pages and binding the books, and we haven't looked back since then. Now, right from the beginning, the researchers felt it was important to have a range of tactile books to take the children on a journey in their symbolic understanding. So we start with the play with the real objects that vary in texture. And we use treasure baskets for that from an early age. Out of that come the real objects and experience books based on each individual child. But in our library at level A, that Tang's going to talk about, we start with real objects and experiences within the child's everyday experience. And gradually we take them like on a journey a bit further outside the home and outside their common everyday experience, until finally they are in a world of the imagination.
Yes, now I'm going to take you through 4 levels of tactile book we made. Yeah, our tactile book have 4 levels: level A, level B, level C, and level D. You can see in level A we have a real heart, and level B we have a human face, and level C we have a cauliflower, and level D we have a tactile picture of a child. So with level A we use the most, we use all the real object, and the story is very simple, related to the child experience. And with the level B, we introduce the first tactile book, and here we have a human face, and the story is still very familiar with the child. And with the level C, we make most of them are the tactile book and
Pictures.
Yes, the tactile picture, and the story is quite longer and is still related to the child experience. And with the level D, and we made most of them are the tactile picture and more complex. And sure, the story is more complex too. And some of the story are out of the child experience. And with our tactile book, we try to have play experience related to the story, because you know that play is very vital to develop symbolic understanding. And here we have a level A, the real object and very simple story. I can show you the video of the level A.
This is a level A book called Mummy's Bag. It is a high contrast pattern, white with black spots, and it has a black pocket on the front. Next to it we have a real black bag, a black handbag, and inside it all the sorts of things that any typical mummy has in her bag. A face mask, an umbrella, a phone, a comb, lipstick, keys, and the child can play with this bag, taking things out and putting them back and pretending to be mummy, or just filling and emptying. So when they've had a lot of play and real life experiences, then they're ready for the book. So on the first page on the right hand side are some keys, and the braille and print is on the left hand side, a pattern we follow in all our books. And then we have a wet wipe. They can take one out if they want. You don't need. And smell it. And then we have some real lipstick and a phone inside a cover. And then a shiny, colourful purse with some real money inside is on the final page. And then they can, when they finished the story, they can close it, and the book turns into a bag. It has handles at the top, and they can carry it and play with the book, which is shaped like a bag.
I will show you one more the video of the book at level A.
This is a level.
The next level A is Summer is Coming. In the front cover, we have a little teaser. Inside we have a sun cream, a sunglasses. A child can take out and wear sunglasses. A sandal is quite famous sandal for children in Vietnam in the summer. And here is a raincoat. Even though it's quite big a raincoat, but it's a good opportunity for child to pretend. For example, the child can pretend going out under the rain, wear the raincoat. The next level
Here is another book called Winter is Coming, and here are some children at the early intervention class enjoying this book. It has high contrast zipper on the left that the boy is undoing for about the jacket, and on the right picture is two bright yellow gloves, and one of them comes off and the child is putting it on.
Mm-hmm. So now we go into the level B with the mode of the real objects, and we introduce the first tactile book. And I mentioned the story is still simple and about the familiar experience. And here we have some video to show you.
Level B books introduce the first tactile pictures, and we have a series of books about the senses which introduce the human face. So in this book about hearing, on the first page they need to find the ears. And then in the book there are lots of real objects to listen to, such as the bells, a drum. They can bang together. On the next page, some chopsticks. And then on the final page, they have to take the ears from the left-hand page and put them on the face in the right position.
We have one more to show you about the level B book.
Level B book.
Another book at level B is the hats. There are some hats, for example, birthday hats on the front cover, and the next page is the birthday hats with a high contrast, the yellow and black, shiny and quite tactile for children to pretend attending a birthday party. And then a cap the children can wear to go out. A woolen hat for a baby. And this hat is for grandmother, and the children can take out and give to grandmother to wear, and they can pretend to go out. The last page is a tactile picture of a helmet. It's quite popular helmet in Vietnam. So in here we use a part of the real object. The child can do action like that. Another book at level.
Here you can see on the screen we have a grandma and the daddy came to the library with the child, and the child is wearing the hat for the grandma, and the child is very happy. So now we go to the level C. Level C is more of them are the tactile picture, and the story are still beyond the family experience. And here we have the first
This
video
is a book at level C, which is familiar everyday experiences, such as going to the market with grandma. All the pages in this book have tactile pictures, including the front cover, which shows grandma and the little child. And we have a very old-fashioned plastic shopping bag that grandmas still use. It's really associated with grandmas still using them. And inside here we have some real carrots, a real cabbage and cauliflower, so the child can play going shopping with grandma before and after the story. So if we open the book, there is the plastic shopping bag. It's actually half a shopping bag.
And it's quite high contrast.
And high contrast. And then we have the cauliflower, which has been embroidered with beads. We have a real, a cabbage and carrots, which are high contrast. And then we have 8 pieces of tofu. The children like to count the tofu. The author uses some lovely language about going to the fish part of the market. It's the noisiest part of the market. And then at the end, the shopping basket is full of stuff. A carrot is sticking out of the top and some leaves. And the story talks about going home with grandma to make soup, very common Vietnamese food. And we really want some of our stories to reflect everyday experiences like this.
So we do have one more video to show you about the level C. Yeah, here is when I read this đi chợ cùng bà with the children at the early intervention, so you can see the children is very enjoy to play with me, and before we going to read the đi chợ cùng bà.
It is quite difficult to find a book about daily living experience for children in Vietnam. So apart inviting Vietnamese children author, we have written our own story, and this book is helping dad to watch motorbike. In the front cover, we have a tactile motorbike. So the first page have a book kit and a cloth for children to play. Next page is guide a child how to wash a mirror. What headlamp? Here is quite high contrast of headlamp. A wheel, a hoe, it is quite.
Yeah, so the final level is the level D, and in level D we use some attract picture and some story outside of children experiences. And you can see on the green we have a story about Christmas. So we made the tactile picture of 3 wise men.
This is a level D book. Here we can see a balcony in a typical Hanoian house. And this is where the twins, Dai and Tum, live, and they have become our library mascots. Here by the door entering our library, we have Dai and his sister Dum. He's using his cane. So when the children come to the library, they like to shake hands with Dum and Tai and say hello, and then they can go and choose their book. So this story is about how good he is at listening. As a bridge between the life-size figures by the door and the picture, we also have puppets of Dai and Tum. So the children can become familiar with the puppets and play with the puppets, doing many different things with them before they meet them in this longer story. So it's quite a complex story where they go. Tai is very good at listening, and he can identify all his neighbours by the sound that their motorbikes make and how they drive down the narrow alley. Every time he goes out, he takes his cane with him. And one day he hears a cat meowing, and they all go together, and they find the cat trapped in a basket on the neighbour's roof. And here is the the little kitten that they find with the claws. This is a level.
This level D book talk about the unwelcome guest coming to the house. Even though the insect in the house is quite familiar, for example, ant, mosquito, but the children with visual impairment and blind, they have never chance to feel and talk. So the first page is a line of ant. Yeah. Going to the ceiling, come into a basket of sugar.
A jar of sugar.
A mosquito with a net.
A cockroach. Upside down on the floor.
Yeah, the next page is fly on a watermelon. This insect is very. This level D book talk about the unwelcome guest coming to the house. Even though the insect in the house is quite.
So now we will talk about some of the principles of tactile book design. First of all, we had to consider carefully about what to illustrate. We really wanted the words to actually be the most important thing. The words are what give such joy to the children, and the pictures bring the words to life. We want it to be based on Vietnamese culture, so we had to try and find Vietnamese authors, which was very difficult. And in the end, we invited a Vietnamese author to write some stories, and the others we've had to write ourselves because there's such a lack. The second is high contrast in colour. You will see in our books, wherever possible, we have we always have a plain background, black quite often, and we choose things to contrast against it. We also need to, number 3, a high contrast in texture. So we don't have smooth things next to each other if possible. We have things that contrast well in texture too. And number 4, appropriate texture. If it's a tree trunk, it needs to be rough. If it's a muddy puddle, it needs to be tacky in some way. And number 5 is interactive element in the picture, like the child with the zip, enjoying the zip, or always something for the child to do, at least on one page in the book. We have a monkey story where the monkey, they climb the tree at the end. And they really enjoy helping the monkey climb up the tree. And finally, the viewpoint. Usually it's always face on in the picture, but as the books develop, then we might need to introduce things from the side or from the rear. So here is a fish that is from the side, and so we need to explain why there's only one eye, because they obviously always realize that there's two, but the the other eye is on the other side of the fish, so we can't feel it in this picture.
I had an experience with this book when I read this book with a child in the early intervention class, and one girl asked me why a fish does only one eye.
And then this book, we have the child is looking out of the window, so we have the curtains, and then we just have the hair on the back of the child's head, and so they will really wonder why there's no eyes and nose and mouth on this picture, only hair. So that needs to be explained. And they can actually, in this case, put their fingers behind the girl and feel the eyes and nose on the other side, which can help them understand.
I hope that you are enjoying with the video we show you about the 4 level of tactile book. So now we have one thing is very important, want to show you why we choose the name of our project like Tactile Book Made for Sharing. Why sharing is very important.
Sharing is important for the enjoyment that the book brings when we share it with others, and also the bonding between the parent and the child. It's not really part of Vietnamese culture, but we want to encourage that. And also it's really vital to understand the pictures, that the child needs to feel that they're sharing the book together at the same time, and the parent can say, this is a wheel, feel it's round, and help them feel it, feel the tire, feel the spokes, and tell them this is what it is, not ask the questions like, what is this? It's also nice for them to be able to join in storytelling sessions with their peers. We have a parent support group, and the children come together with their families, with their siblings, and they hear the stories together and can feel the pictures afterwards. And also inclusion. We have joined in the Vietnamese Festival of Storytelling, and we've joined in with the author who wrote some of our stories. When she's held storytelling sessions, we've joined in with that. So it's a nice way of including the children in a public storytelling session.
Yeah, because you know that either reading or sharing book or storytelling with the children is not our culture in Vietnam. So when we use the tactile book, we need to make a guideline for the teacher and for the parent to follow. Some guideline very basic like that. The parent or the teacher should sit on the left of the child on the right, so the child can feel directly the tactile picture. And if the child want to feel the braille, so the child just take the book and feel the braille with the parent have. And one more thing is very important, that the parent or the teacher shouldn't ask many questions about what it is, what is the color, because you know that's the parent also like that, but they shouldn't. They just tell the child what is this, what is the color, or what is the tactile in the picture. And sure, when they share, when they talk with the children, they should link with the child experience to talk. And one more thing, to make the storytelling is more interesting, so the others should try make how the storytelling as much fun as possible. The parent or the teacher can interactive with the accent or imitate the accent in related to the story. So the children imitate or copy the accent or the repeat phrase, or use the sound effect to make the storytelling is more interesting, more fun for the child. And and they can remember that the tactile book is made for sharing, so the tactile book need to read many times, not the one time, so the child can anticipate what is the next in the story and remember the event or the character in the story. We have model for the individual storytelling or in the group storytelling. If in the individual storytelling, the storyteller need to have the child how to learn the take turn and wait and start very thought on the picture or the braille very light thought to feel what is this. And if in the group of the storytelling, the storyteller have a book and the parent and the children have the copy book, so the parent can copy any action of the storyteller to have the child to feel the tactile picture or feel the braille on the tactile book. So we can show you the video so you can see very detailed.
Hình gì? Hình cậu gì? Hình cậu bé. Đấy, hình cậu bé này, con sờ xem cậu bé có những gì nào? À, có gì đây nhỉ? Có tóc này, có gì nữa nhỉ? Có mắt này. À, có đôi mắt này. Có cái gì nữa thế nhỉ? Có đôi tai. Đấy. À, con chỉ cho.
Yeah, this is a video. A grandma were reading a tactile book with her daughter, and it's so lovely to see together.
Hình gì?
The next video is storytelling in the group. The storyteller have one book and a parent have a book with a child, so the child can and the parent can copy any action of the book with the storyteller guys.
Tiếng còi xe bim bim như một bạn nhà vui. Mình sờ cái còi nào, bắt chước một tay này. Tiếng còi xe.
And the next video, we read the monkey story in the botanic garden because the children can have experience to feel the chunk in the book.
The tree trunks.
Yeah.
Còn lại bắt đầu khóc. Mẹ nói, ôi con của mẹ, để mẹ lau sạch bùn ở mông con nào. Để mẹ ốp tiếng con nữa.
We are so sorry that's in Vietnamese, so hope that you can understand.
Còn lại bắt đầu khóc.
It's about the monkey crying. That's why they're all crying.
Để mẹ lau sạch bùn ở mông con nào.
Very funny event, so the children laugh. And the last video we want to show you.
Yeah, this is an adaptation we've done of a Chinese version of Little Red Riding Hood. And Little Red Riding Hood has a visual impairment and finds her way through the forest using a cane. So we had a musical event and all the families were invited, and one child was chosen to be Little Red Riding Hood and one was the wolf. And here she is actually, in the end, Little Red Riding Hood rescues the wolf with her cane, and then she uses her hood to bind up his wounds. That's what she's doing now.
Cho sói này là người tốt hay người xấu? Cho sói này bây giờ sẽ trở thành người tốt rồi. Đó, con đã buộc được cái cổ chưa? Đó, cho sói chưa? Rồi.
And here, the final slide on the screen is that's our logo with a heart and with a big hand. It is the parent hand, in smaller hand is the child hand. And we also put a QR code of our organization. So if you want to get more information, you can use QR code.
So thank you very much for listening, and we hope that you will be inspired to share tactile books with your children.
Yeah, thank you, and see you the next time. Goodbye.